Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den, remote from the metropolis of Valonia, Arkansas, joined today by somebody that, well, we've seen a time or two. It's Michael Woodson, the Baylor men's tennis coach, and somebody we haven't seen yet, some new blood with the blue blood. It's Alex Gruskin, a national tennis analyst. Coach tells me the best national tennis analyst out there. Coach Woodson, congratulations on the win against Ole Miss on Monday, knocking them off to make the Elite Eight. I mean, another domino falls for you guys here in the postseason.
Yeah, we're certainly really excited, to be here in Orlando to get through that one. It wasn't easy. I thought we came out, played some great doubles, and really struggled at the beginning of singles. I think it's a different facility, different feel. The environment, was something that we had to get used to. I felt like on all the courts, and credit to the guys. When we really needed to, they stepped up in a lot of places to get the job done. And really, if we had played it out, I felt like could have been a dominant 6-1.
Well, we're doing something different today. We're bouncing off a round table. I got Coach Woodson, like we said, and then Alex Gruskin, national analyst. So I'll throw a couple questions to Alex. He'll get back to Coach Woodson. We'll just go around. Alex, though, from your perspective, I know you told me that you really didn't think Baylor had a chance to beat Ole Miss, and it probably would go pretty quickly. I guess your assessment was wrong in the end.
Well, Coach Woodson said I'm the best analyst in the nation. Apparently I am not, according to those predictions. But no, I mean, look, I know you're first of all, thank you for having me. Of course, in the first 3 seconds, I am so envious of your voice. Like, that is the ideal voice for radio. Let me just say. But no, I mean, look, we were joking beforehand. If you guys have seen the Key and Peele skit where Michael Key is the translator, I'm going to be Coach Woodson's translator. What he actually just said is, yeah, look, we knew we were going to kick their butts, and we kicked their butts. That's what we expected to do. We wanted to come out and execute. The doubles point so important, and then no one's beaten us 4, 5, 6. And look, for these Baylor Bears to have Nick Stakoyak, who I affectionately call Nicky, and to have Charlie Broom and Spencer Furman, who have all played #1 singles in some of the best conferences in college tennis, and to have them at the bottom of your lineup, there's a reason these Baylor Bears are the #2 overall seed. There's a reason they're 32-4 now on the season. And talking to Coach Woodson, and I'll throw this back to you, I feel like the biggest unknown was the conditions, right? Just getting comfortable, getting acclimated in Orlando, because if your team is healthy, if your team's playing your best, you guys can beat anyone, right?
For sure. I feel like, I feel like we don't have to worry about hoping that the other team doesn't play well, that we need something to go wrong for the other team in order to advance. And I feel like that's a really good feeling. We certainly learned a lot yesterday, and you love to have that opportunity to kind of feel like things weren't great in certain areas. That there's a lot to be taken from the match that we can improve on in the next one and still get through, still win. So I felt like we certainly learned a lot. We had a really productive meeting last night as a team. I thought the guys did a great job throughout that, and I'm sure we're going to be better off as a result on Thursday.
To translate that again for you, that one means, look, we should have won 4-0. I'm a little disappointed we dropped the point. So, yeah, I reamed them out for 2 hours because we have national championship aspirations. But no, I mean, yeah, the guys were incredible. I was fortunate enough to be on the broadcast for the match. And, again, in particular, and I apologize, I'm ruining the segment here right away. That's what I do. Plug at Cracked Rackets, at Great Shot Pod. But, for your team, Coach, just to have the super seniors at the bottom of your lineup, to have that sort of experience, are there times, and I say this lovingly because I know how effective of a coach you are, let me make that clear, but is there times you just feel like a glorified chaperone out there, that the guys, they know what they're doing, right? And you're just getting them from point A to point B?
You would laugh if you knew what I was dealing with during that match. It had nothing to do with tennis. And certainly, that's a lot of credit to these guys. I mean, and honestly, the great part about it is they've put in the work. They've done what they needed to do off the court. They've got the experience from on the court in big matches to where we really are just, hopefully putting ourselves out of a job and just trying not to mess it up. I feel like at this stage, as coaches, you're trying to build confidence. You're trying to take pressure off. And really we can only do damage at this point. And that's not just us, that's all the coaches left in this tournament.
Coach, on top of that, I'm looking up and down what you were able to do, not just against Ole Miss, but it reminded me a little bit of that TCU match in the Big 12 championship tournament where the singles point was really hairy early. You just didn't know how your singles players would go across the board. And what I point to, I see 36 matches that your team has played this season compared to Ole Miss, who was just in their 24th. That experience in seeing that many different scenarios, that many different teams this season, how does that give you an added boost in the postseason?
We've legitimately seen almost everything at this point. I keep saying that, and then we kind of see something new. But even like the Oregon match was really informative for us. I felt like it was an interesting experience where we went out there, we were halfway through singles. It was super hot and humid, and some guys were struggling from both teams physically. And then lightning, it wasn't raining, lightning stopped. So there's kind of some uncertainty. We weren't sure if we had the momentum, if they had the momentum, and then boom, we go inside. And how to handle that experience. And it's actually started raining at one point in the match yesterday. And I thought, gosh, we might get stopped. And, we've seen that before. It's just, to experience, we've experienced so many different facilities. I feel like we had an opportunity, to travel for kickoff weekend, that is something that we wish we didn't have to do, but it really served us well. And then to travel to play at a different facility, to qualify for national indoors, and then to go to national indoors. We've played on the road so much this year that we've had some different conditions where it's rained and we've been delayed and everything. And so I do feel like that's prepared us well for these situations. Whereas some of these other teams haven't had the opportunity to travel. They haven't played deep into tournaments where the pressure's a little bit higher.
Alex, on to you. There are a lot of fans, folks that listen to the show around Baylor tennis that might not understand what makes this group unique. Everybody knows they're good. Everybody knows they're elite. But why? Why are they elite from your perspective?
Well, it's certainly not coaching, right? I mean, you can find good coaching anywhere. It starts with Coach Woodson, Coach Vandermeer, George, obviously volunteer assistant George Goldhoff. Though, if you watch George Goldhoff, A, he's got youthful good looks, but B, you would think to yourself right away, is he playing in this match? Like, he may be the most frenetic person on court. He's constantly bouncing, constantly moving in. I'm not saying it's top down because it's everyone has that energy on the court from start to finish. Even Matthias yesterday, who clearly did not play his best tennis at number 2 singles, he was still engaged in the match. And just, 1 through 6, I'm sure you've asked Coach Woodson, does anyone hit the ball harder than Adrian Boitan? When you've got that at 1, you're feeling pretty good. When you've got Spencer Death by 1,000 Paper Cuts Furman at number 6, who was playing 2 singles at Duke, you're obviously feeling pretty good about yourself. But it's just the depth. And again, college tennis, for those of you who don't know, it's a best of 7 format. Doubles point is 1 point, and then each of the 6 singles matches count for 1 point. What makes this Baylor team so good, if you don't mind me saying, and I have to be careful what I say now because it turns out coaches do listen to some of my stuff. I'm not going to say who it was. A guy by the name of Stanner Tump, we'll say, came up to me and said, "I heard you picked Illinois." And I was like, "Did you heard that?" I was like, "You weren't supposed to." But it's just this Baylor team, so many pathways to 4. As Coach mentioned, they've dropped, and maybe this was in his press conference, they've dropped doubles and won the match. They've won doubles and lost a match. They've, found it, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They just have the broadest pathways to 4. And Coach Woodson knows this. After UNC's been knocked out, I don't know a team that matches up that can steal 4 points off this Baylor Bears. They're that good.
Coach, for you, when you hear that, not just from a national analyst, but someone that knows tennis and follows a game of collegiate tennis, there's so much that has to play out on the court for that to take place. But having those national championship aspirations, knowing that it's going to be tough for somebody to take 4 from you, does it feel like this team, the path, when you look at the path, is right there on the cusp of making history?
This is our goal, the whole year. We said at the beginning of the year, and we've done everything that we can since to kind of live that out, and to give these guys that experience. I think more than anything, we want them to have a great experience and to enjoy this process and enjoy the journey with each other. And, they've been able to make the sacrifices that they've needed to make in a very difficult year to be able to train and compete at this level, to be in this situation. And I think they all know what they're capable of. And it's just a matter of going out there and leaving it out there, competing as hard as they can, being, tough guys, tough outs at every single spot. And then we'll be able to live comfortably with the result. And I feel like if we can do that, it's going to be really, if somebody comes and takes 4 points against us, that's going to be a heck of an effort, and credit to them.
To Coach's point there, I absolutely agree. To beat the Baylor Bears, that you've earned it. You have absolutely, that means they have played outstanding tennis. And my question to you, Coach, you talk about ensuring all of these players having the best experience. And I feel like I have to be a little bit more aggressive here with my question since I'm on away turf. But my question to you would be, look, I was at that national indoor match and, respectfully, it did feel like your guys blinked in the doubles point, and you have that data point in the back of your mind. But, again, now moving forward in terms of ensuring the guys have their best experience, ensuring the guys play their best tennis match in, match out, what are you and the coaching staff doing to just, ensure everyone's calm but focused entering each match?
For sure. I think that experience was really a valuable one for us. It hurt a lot. More so just to see the guys get that close and feel like they didn't get over the line against Carolina, but we did. We blinked. I thought in the doubles. It took a few weeks after that to really feel like we clicked in the doubles. We've had so many pieces. I think everybody's talked about how good our doubles could be, and it took a while to really figure it out. And I'm excited now to know that, we have probably the best team on each court going into the match in doubles, and feel like we can win a doubles point, against anybody. And, are very confident in that regard. And so that's really good news for us. And, I think ultimately, we're just trying to keep them loose, make sure that the guys are present. You can spend so much time trying to make sure you're not feeling the pressure that you're not even here. You're physically here, but you're not mentally here. And I'm just trying to help these guys understand that this is an experience that they may never have again in their lives. And so let's make the most of it and enjoy it. You're not really going to remember a lot of the tennis that's played. It's going to be more of the experiences that they have goofing off at dinner or, hanging out at Drive Shack, whiffing balls and, everything that goes on in between. And I feel like if we kind of enjoy that stuff, then our best tennis is going to come out because they're just having fun.
Alex, you talked about the double point, and you got to see it firsthand on Monday against Ole Miss. I'm looking here, and I don't want to overlook Konstantin Franzen and Sven Law were up 5-2 on the number one doubles pair in the nation. This doubles performance from Baylor against Ole Miss was dominant. What did you see being there on the court?
Well, it's so interesting because I'll say it from the get-go. Shout out to you, Coach Woodson. You've got Connie Franzen on the Mike Woodson diet. He's 5 to 10 pounds lighter, sincerely, than I think he was earlier in his career. And you can just see that fluidity he's playing with. And, just the confidence from top down. And, I was talking to Coach Woodson earlier, and we've had conversations about Sven Law, who struggled at the beginning of the season, but he's hitting his stride. And that's the scariest thing for all of these other teams moving forward. This is weird to have a Baylor hat on. I feel like I am presenting this for just on a side note for all of you listening, but that was it. It's that Connie and Sven, what were they preseason, Coach? Like number 4, number 5?
It was like 11.
Yeah, but top, they're a top 10. They are a top 10 team. When they play their best, they can beat anyone. And they were number 1 in the nation, I believe, in a prior season. And so look, the scariest part again for this Baylor team is they're going to hang with anyone at the top of the lineup, and then they're going to beat you at the bottom. And it's just, we play a game of match calculus over at Crack Rackets, whereas how do you find your 4 points? What's the addition there? Plus I'm compensating. I'm not as good as math as I once was. So I'm trying to get it in as much as possible. And the scariest part again is like, all right, fine. You beat Adrian. Congratulations. Or, yesterday it was Finn Reynolds was just too good against Matthias. But it's whether it's 1 doubles, 2 doubles, 3 doubles, Finn Bass is coming off of the bench. And I will continue to say Garcia hits the ball. He's my, coach knows that's one of my pet projects, getting him in the lineup. But it's like the 7 through 12 of Baylor probably makes the round of 16 this year. And then to have Sven and Connie at 1 as well, it's just so many options. Finn and Charlie are playing great. Again, really poor coaching, but the players themselves are just carrying us through, right, Coach?
That's right. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Coach, looking forward, now being in the Elite Eight with this team, the program, you got TCU on the cusp, and coaches talk all the time about being in the off season, you're practicing against yourself, and you just want to be able to see somebody else in a different jersey. And at this point, it feels like TCU is just another practice team that you just get to go out there and play every other week. I mean, I think this is 7 or 8 times now that you've seen the Horned Frogs this season. Deja vu, but in Orlando.
I mean, honestly, this will be the 8th time that we've played TCU or Texas, and all of us are in the Elite Eight. I think it's just a credit to, how strong our conference is, first of all, and what quality tennis we have in the Big 12, as well as, all you have to do is say TCU, and our guys are going to bring the best that they've possibly got, and I think that's exactly what we need. I would say that it's going to make it a little bit easier for us to compete knowing that it's TCU and that we know them. Certainly they're going to bring their best tennis, and they're a very, very good team. They beat a very good Ohio State team handily yesterday. And so we know it's going to be, an absolute war, but I can't think of anybody we would rather play in the Elite Eight for an opportunity to make it to the Final Four. I mean, you say TCU and we're fired up.
Alex, on that note, you got a TCU team number 7 overall in the country that, like Coach Woodson said, Baylor has seen 12 times this season. I mean, you get a team so consistently that you've already lost to once. I mean, TCU's got the blood in the water considering they've beaten Baylor. How does that add to the dynamic of this match coming up in the Elite Eight?
Well, we've said it before on our show. I would argue the single most impressive win this season, and I say this lovingly, please don't hurt me when we see each other later, Coach, was TCU coming to Waco, dropping the doubles, and taking 4 singles wins, 3 through 6 on this Baylor team. To do that is as impressive of a win as we've seen all season long in the college tennis universe. Now, it's worth noting, Baylor has since, of course, knocked off the Horned Frogs, and they beat them in their most recent matchup in the Big 12. But if you have played tennis, if you play any sport, it's really easy to beat a team once. It's harder, but not the hardest thing in the world to beat a team twice. It's damn near impossible to beat a team 3 times in one season. It just really is. And so, again, for all of these, for this TCU team, for these Baylor teams, there's no secrets, right? You don't need to watch the film. You know what Famba, Gray, Jong, I guess maybe not Sander Jong, but all of these guys on TCU, how they play, what they want to do. They know the deal for the Baylor team as well. And I guess I'll bring this back to you, Coach Woodson, right? At this point, it's not a talk of tactics. It's a talk of making sure the guys are focused and able to execute to the best of their ability.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's really very little about the tennis. We know that on the day they could beat us or we could beat them. We know that we have a comparable level of ability, and we're confident that our best is going to get the job done against anybody. It's just a matter of being engaged and embracing that moment and that pressure and enjoying it. I think if we can be positive, more positive than we are negative, and show them great confidence and composure and stay together as a team, then we're going to have a really good chance to win. There are no secrets between us.
Mm-hmm. Did it surprise you to get 3 Big 12 teams into the quarterfinals, or did you know all season long you guys were all that good?
No, we could tell. I think that they've done a great job, getting their teams ready for this type of moment, and having to play in the Big 12 where there is no match off. That's just not the case in some other conferences. And it's not necessarily the fault of some of those teams. They're just in a conference where there are weak teams. Those matches are kind of wasted. We haven't played a wasted match in a long, long time, and that is really beneficial for us and for the other teams in the Big 12. We feel really good going into the NCAA tournament, coming up against anybody, because every match is just so physical. It's so, feisty and gritty. And, so when these tough moments come, like, it came yesterday with TCU being down a player or Texas coming down to the last match on, we're ready.
Alex, for you, there are a lot of listeners here in Central Texas that think we're talking algebra, calculus, something nuts. They're all right, tennis. They're really getting indoctrinated now into tennis with the success of Baylor as a program. But what I understand that I think a lot of people might not is the brand that Baylor tennis is in the country. I look across this bracket, you got Georgia, who Baylor could face moving forward in the next round of the tournament. USC is up in there, Texas as well. Where does Baylor sit when you hear that word, Baylor, in college tennis?
What an excellent question. Well, personally, I'm a former University of Michigan guy myself. Our current, I don't know if it's an associate or assistant coach, is Ben Becker, who obviously was a standout player at Baylor. And look, I was born in 1995, which you can probably tell given, the tone of my voice. But I would say 21st century college tennis. And I'm not going to refer to, pre-2000 because I promise you no one cares about that. But 21st century college tennis, you consider Baylor tennis up there with any other program. And I mean, just go down to Waco. And I think I have a restraining order there. They're not allowing me at the Hurd Tennis Center, but it's one of the 3 most beautiful tennis centers in the country. There's a reason the school was selected to host the NCAA tournament in 2014. It's not just 6 courts, it's 12 courts. It's an indoor facility. It's all of these different things they have available. There's a reason people want to put on, the B on their chest, or the BU. I don't know what you guys say. I apologize. But it also helps. You guys look sharp in that green. Like, I'm not going to lie, aesthetically, one of my favorite uniforms, just a little bit different than anyone else. But, to your question, and I'll flip this on you, Coach Woodson, because look, I don't doubt you on the recruiting trail whatsoever, but there are some outstanding coaches right now in college tennis. I would argue the coaching is as good as it has ever been. You just look at any school and they've got someone in the ranks. I mean, with the Hurd Tennis, and by the way, I need to give a huge shout out to Mark Hurd, because without him, there is no Baylor tennis on the map. He was the person who, with his resources, and of course the school took advantage of it. But, again, when you're on the trail, people know the Baylor name, right? They associate it very much with tennis.
I mean, I think your question is asking me if I'm going to be able to keep it up, but I think I read through the lines there.
It was, honestly, for the record.
Yeah. I have no doubt that, the brand that's been built here, the staff that we have in place, the players that are here are all bought in. And I mean, the athletic department, the administration, everybody's behind what we're doing and behind, the direction that we want to go as a program, and I think there are a lot of great coaches. There are a lot of great programs out there, that are great pathways to maximizing your tennis and giving you a great experience in college tennis. But I think we do it a little bit differently. And I would say we stand confidently that we're going to be able to help these young men along their paths maybe a little bit better than other universities. And I don't think it's for everybody. I think, you have to love the game. You have to want to develop. You have to be focused, on and off the court on maximizing yourself day in and day out, and maybe not get so distracted by some of the, the other things that go on in a college setting. But we feel like we have a good recipe. These guys are living it out day in and day out, and they're enjoying themselves, and we're enjoying it, and the process of serving these young men. And so, it's never easy to keep up with, teams and schools that have so many resources and great facilities and highly paid coaches with long resumes. But, at the end of the day, I feel like we've got a good recipe here, and we're excited to continue, putting it together for many, many years to come.
Alex, I can tell you this. There are very few other places in the country whose radio shows follow tennis so closely, and it's because Baylor tennis has the sweet drip and the awesome stadium and the cool young spunky head coach. The aesthetic of Baylor tennis as a whole is just dope, as the kids would say.
I was going to say, what you're not going to hear when you step on a tennis court is the word drip. I can promise you that right now.
You will at Baylor, I guess. I mean, it's renovating. They're paving a way. Coach Woods, this is my last question for you, and then I'll pass it to Alex, give the knockout blow question. But for you being in Orlando, us in the media, fans, everybody can watch the matches and see you guys play. What's going on behind the scenes, though? I mean, it's these trips where really teams, that family bond, the culture of Baylor, where that forms. What's going on that we're not seeing that's making this a memory for you?
I mean, we spend a lot of time doing silly activities and just laughing together, spending time together, losing things together, trying to find them together. that's the best part. I mean, we wanted to win so bad yesterday just so we could spend 3 more days together. And I think that's a really cool thing about it. I mean, I was dealing a game of poker in the lobby the other night to 9 of my guys, and all the other teams are looking at like, what is that, the head coach? What's he doing? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, they needed a dealer, and they asked. So, it's fine. They weren't playing for any real money. They just wanted something to do, but it's just cool that they want to do it together, as a team. And they're just enjoying each other's company. And like I said, those are the memories that we're going to remember. I mean, I will never in my life forget Ryan Dickerson impersonating Charlie Broom in a game that we were playing. And I mean, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then everybody else reacting to it. Those are the moments that we'll remember. Nobody's going to remember that Charlie won 6-4 in the third against Ole Miss in the round of 16. They're going to remember Ryan walking around hunched over with his phone looking like Charlie. Those are the things that we're doing. I mean, I can't wait to get to Drive Shack so we can play St. Andrews here in a few hours. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Wow. Well, Coach, and before I pass off to Alex, you didn't lose a person, did you? I mean, you talked about losing things.
No. Listen, all missing item inquiry should go through Coach Goldhoff.
And Alex, on to you, and then to Coach, your question for Coach Woodson. When you watch this Baylor team, outside perspective, how much joy? Do they play with joy? Can you see it on this team tangibly that they love what they do when they play?
A wise man once said, it's not the team with the most talent, it's the team that loves each other the most that ends up winning the tournament. And it's really corny. I fully admit that. I can see from the look on your face, Drake, that you agree. But it's true, because all of these teams are talented. And in a no-ad format in tennis, which, again, I'm speaking in code right now. I just said something in Python. You're like, no ad, I don't get it. But yeah, in a no-ad format, there's going to be some ups and downs, and momentum swings are the name of the game in college tennis. And it's the team that sticks together when their backs are pressed against the wall, can withstand that 15-20 minute push, much like Ole Miss made yesterday in the opening of singles, that ends up winning the match, that ends up coming through in the clutch moments. And I'm biased. I should say one of our co-hosts at Cracked Rackets is Nick Stakowiak's older brother, Matt. That's why I call him Nicky. And you absolutely see the joy on the team's face. And I have to say, I'm pretty sure I have a bad source on this one, given your excitement. But Coach, the word on the street is that all of your drives are just banana fades. You're going far right, that it's not working for you, that you actually might be the worst golfer on the team. Is this true?
Me?
Yeah, that's what I hear. I knew it was a bad source. They said your drive is just, it's flying everywhere.
My drive is not strong, which is why I leave the driver in the bag. But I'm not even close to the worst one on the team. All right. I mean, let's get that clear. I'm probably somewhere in the top third to the middle third.
Yeah, I like that. So give me a name. Who is the best golfer? Who could use some more? Who's never making that Baylor men's golf team?
Well, Izak is the best golfer for sure. I mean, he's close to a scratch golfer. He puts us all to shame. It's incredible to watch him. George swings the hardest at the ball, for sure. But I would say, and we actually have some, like Spencer was all state in golf in high school. So, I mean, we've got some legitimate golfers on our team. But guys Sven plays lefty, Adrian, like 2 weeks ago, Sven and Adrian was the first time they've ever swung the club. So I would say somebody like them, Matthias, Alex Garcia struggles to make contact. There's probably a tie at the bottom with about 5 guys who, are just hoping to hit the ball.
Yeah, no, I would say put me on the putt course and I can take you guys, but oh man, golf, yeah, not my strength, as you can imagine. But no, I will say, if you allow me, Drake, it has been an absolute pleasure to watch your Bears compete. I do think they embody everything that college tennis is about. And, again, looking forward, no one comes to Orlando without national championship expectations. But, you guys have been on the grounds now about a week, and you've gotten your feel for everything in Orlando. What's it going to take over these next 5 days for you guys to get where you want to be and where you absolutely can end up, which is in the winner's circle?
I honestly think it's exactly what you said. I mean, it's feeling, that pressure. We're all going to feel that pressure when we get out there in the, the Elite Eight, and how well are we going to handle it when it's not our day? are we going to be able to look to our left and look to our right and feel like, you know what, I can't do it for myself, so I'm going to do it for that guy. And if we're able to do that and fight for every single point, then I think we're going to have a really good chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Coach, I want to thank you for joining us as always. I know we do such frequent segments, but I don't get tired of them. Hopefully you don't either. And I want to thank you not only for coming on, but also having players and your assistant coaches that come on the show as well, because we're huge tennis fans. They call us crazy for we are a tennis radio show at this point. But I won't apologize for it. Alex, thanks to you as well for joining and giving perspective. But before we get you guys out of here, we got our Bear Games questions of the day that we ask all guests and callers. Coach, this one's actually tailored. You inspired this. Your team inspired this today. We're asking if you could take one Baylor sports program on a vacation with you. You're getting to go vacation with a bunch of guys. Which program you taking and where are you going?
I think I would go with the basketball team, just because I feel like it's some fun personalities on that team and the staff that I would love to spend time with. And honestly, I'm of Greek descent, and I have not yet been to Greece, so that would be where I would go.
Wow. Michael Woodson going to Orlando with the Baylor tennis team. Lock it in. What a great inspirational answer, Coach. I'm glad to know that you love your team enough to say that. It's a very selfless answer. Alex, what is yours? You got the chance to one-up him now by saying that.
I would take the Baylor women tennis team, who were clearly who were better than the men. I mean, they lost 4 times as well, I think, this season, or maybe it was 5 in the end. And I did want to give them a shout out at some point because they lost 4-3 thriller to the Duke women's team, who are still alive in the quarterfinals. And I forgot to mention them when you talk about Baylor tennis. It's really not just the men. It is a full steam program. You have to give credit to the women as well. I probably go with both tennis teams. I mean, I'm a nerd. You put me with tennis players, I'm going to find a way to entertain myself for a week. So that would be my move. I may take Isaac. Sounds like I shouldn't take George, so I'll leave him behind. But no, I mean, ultimately, I do also want to thank you. You may not believe me, but college tennis needs a platform. Anyone who offers it, I will be listening to all of that content. And sincerely, whether it's the players, coaches, I always try to tune in whenever you interview any of them. So thank you for all you do for the sport as well. I do think, and my final question to you, Drake, it's pretty addicting, right? College tennis. When it's good, it's pretty darn good.
Alex, I'm going to expose myself here to you and Coach Woodson both and all of our listeners. I had never been to a collegiate tennis match before January of this year when Michael Woodson said, hey, come on out. He sent us a t-shirt and a tennis ball, and that was it. That got me hooked. And since then, I have been glued to every tennis match, glued to the Twitter feeds when there's not a live stream. I have become a tennis junkie. So I will agree with you. There is something addicting about it. And again, thank you to Coach Woodson for really helping all of us here at Uptempo fall in love with tennis. And Coach, congratulations on all you've done so far, but I'm going to retract that congratulations until this thing's all wrapped up and done, and hopefully give you a bigger one then. Thanks for coming on today, Coach Woodson. Pleasure having you.
Thank you both, guys. We appreciate the coverage.
Yeah, and Alex, to you, it was a lot better than Coach Woodson told me it was going to be, so I don't regret bringing you on today.
Oh, I appreciate you having me again. Thank you, Coach, for putting up with my nonsense all year long. And sincerely, Drake, thanks for all you do. I've said it before, Coach Woodson could sell sand in a desert, but certainly you guys help sell college tennis across the country as well. So thank you so much for all you do, Drake. And always a pleasure. Whenever you want me back, I'm here.
I love it. Let's do it again after they win a couple more of these. Well, I'm Drake Toll. That was Coach Michael Woodson and Alex Gruskin. You can find him at Great Shot Pod, at Great Shot Pod on Twitter. Check that out. Shameless plug right there. When we come back, we're going to play Celebrity Birthdays, This Day in Sports History, and talk a little bit more Baylor sports. Don't go anywhere. This is Uptempo.